Captain Everett B. Wood, and the crew from the Plymouth Fire Department saved Brant Rock. And what I mean by save Brant Rock, not that the other guys didn't do a fantastic job, but he was the vanguard out ahead of it, and it was moving towards Brant Rock, and he told his men to stay, hold, and fight. This is what he said. His order at the corner of Ocean and Samoset was, we will hold our ground, and they did. Plymouth knocked it down. That's another fire department with a lot of grand heritage, by the way. Police Chief Everett B. Wood and his brave fire company knocked it down at dusk. So as the sun was setting at Samoset. Now, it ended just after 5 p.m. and the Boston Traveler, quote, and you know they use a lot of poetic and flowery language, but it's beautiful. The orange-red flames blended with the orange-red of the western sky and setting sun. For minutes, the sun held sway. And my dad remembers going down with his grandfather the night of the fire and still seeing the glow. He was stopped, if you know where Assumption Church is today, where Canal cuts off at Careswell, I believe. That's where they were cordoned off. And if they wanted to walk in, which he did, they had to walk from that point in. And they walked, I think, a mile or a half, then they walked back to the car and said, we'll wait until they let us through. But you remember seeing that orange glow.
Sean.
Then, continue on with that, as it dipped below the horizon, the flames replaced its brilliance in light color, a moving painting of tragedy and beauty. So there's that red glow, that hue. Again, that's the area. $300, as I mentioned, cost $1.25 million. That's $1941. 2 square miles, gone. We can just look at the, well, we'll go over the roads in a moment. Gone with the Wind, Ann Sparks. The casino, St. Anne's by the Sea. Ocean Bluff House Hotel. Bristol Bakery. The Beach and Ocean Variety Store. Wright and Sterrett Store. The Police and Fire Rest Station. The Beach Bluff Post Office at Wright and Sterrett's. Winship's Drug Store, which was newly stocked for the summer. The Shore Haven Hotel. The First National Store. Totten's Beauty Parlor, which was just renovated. And the fire station Combo 1 was spared. There were no deaths or major injuries. 1 heart attack, some smoke inhalation, many singed eyebrows, and a lot of broken hearts. 2 square miles were burned from 6th and Ocean to Samoset Street. Holy City, Sunrise Beach, and Marshfield Beach were wiped out. Fieldston and Wrexham spared. Again, 446 houses, 96 garages, 12 stores, 2 hotels, a casino, a church, and a post office were consumed. Sir, if you could just, there we go. 15% of Marshfield's total value was wiped out. 15% of their total value wiped out. $1.25 million in damage. Zoning laws will be recodified. Lot space, building materials, etc. The popping beer bottles and cans at the casino became a fusillade of missiles. Quote, hand grenades, spouting foam 30 feet into the air with scalding liquid, and residents were warned. As I mentioned, smoke was seen from Provincetown, Boston, Cape Cod, Linden, Nantucket. And this is the story I want to tell you about. An inbound fishing vessel. When he was coming in, first he thought that Boston was on fire. Then he thought Scituate was on fire. Then he knew it was Brant Rock. And then he saw it was my house, as he told it. The glow on that night sky was a blood red. Gawkers and residents forced to walk a few miles just to see the destruction. Most had to travel along the beach to get up and down the fire corridor. And this is folklore. You'll laugh at this. Some say birds don't nest there anymore and butterflies are rare. I was told by one who attended the Okay, here are your fire departments. I'd like to give a roll call here and salute them. Kingston, Duxbury, Belmont, Bourne, Brockton, Norwell, Cohasset, Scituate, Rockland, Whitman, Abington, Plymouth, Shawnee Forest, Miles Standish State Forest, Hanover, Middleborough, State Conservation Department, Bridgewater, Weymouth, Hingham, Braintree, Randolph, Holbrook, and of course Marshfield. Save Brant Rock. Go back one, Chris, with just one. All out was not called until noon the following day, and these fire departments reported to the fire up to 40 miles away. In fact, I believe it was the Miles Standish State Forest. It was like a Beverly Hills truck. He'd go from town to town. Men were jumping on board. They had men climbing all over it like mosquitoes were on a bug lamb coming into town. The movement of the firestorm. Ocean Street, 6th Road, 5th Road, 4th Road, 3rd Road, Jefferson Village District, South Abington Avenue, Shepherd Avenue, Seminole Street, Secaucet Street, Setauket Street, Saginaw Street, Chickatabat Street, Massasoit Street, Shawmut Street partial, and Samoset Street at the tip of it. McAdam roads, fire hoses, shoes, wires, tires melted in the heat. The Brockton Gas Company and Commonwealth Electric, as I mentioned, got out ahead of the blaze, turning off gas and electricity and collecting the wire. I guess, you know, the serendipity of what draws people to these things, and I was shocked when I looked, there were two Horrigans that were involved in this fire in the 40s. Mary Horrigan on Ocean Street, Mrs. Nona Horrigan from Abington. Small world, because I was told that my name was changed as Ellis Island from Harrigan to Horrigan. That's my family heritage. They lost everything, all these people. Anybody know where this is? Good, good. And it's the kids at St. Anne's, right, that take care of this, right? And a beautiful monument, but it states there the fire started near the junction of Plymouth Ave and Ocean Street. I guess we could say one of the fires did. It burned to Samoset, destroying 446 houses, 96 garages, 12 stores, 2 hotels, casino, post office, and church. Yeah, a close-up of that, and very well maintained, nice. It's right at the juncture. Of course, if you're going to go visit it and sit on the bench, be very, very careful crossing the street, because people tend to speed up when they see people in crosswalks nowadays. Well, has anybody figured out why motorcycles have to be so loud? No. Okay, thank you. Well, that's the Great Ocean Bluff Fire. And we'll hold right now, maybe throw the lights on, and then hear some personal recollections, questions, and stories. So if we could, turn that on. We didn't get our AC back, didn't we? Yes, any questions?
Yeah, how long from the time it started until it basically got under control? I know you said the all-out was the next day.
The official all-out was noon the following day.
Yeah, but until it was contained or...
Right. When Everwood and the Plymouth guys knocked it down, it was just after 5 o'clock. And so you're talking, this is how quick it was. About 3.5 hours. Yep. So it moved quickly. 3.5 hours, 600 structures. That's 200 an hour almost. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Does anybody remember their parents talking about it, cousins? Yes?
What was the land acreage, do you know?
2 square miles. I don't, any realtors here? I couldn't tell you. How many, what'd you say, sir?
It'd be 1280 if it was 2 square miles.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
How did the houses in the village?
Yep.
What about all those other roads? If it started up at Plymouth.
Can we, Chris, try to go back? Yeah, let's, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to see, but that's a very good question. If you notice in the opening pictures, you remember the marsh where we saw that plume of smoke? It moved across the marsh and picked up at 6th Road. So, like a tornado or a microburst in this area, where somebody can have their house devastated, knocked down, it's just a miracle. It leaks over houses. And I've seen that in major fires. In Chicago, it happened. In the Great San Francisco Fire, which there happened to be a little earthquake at the same time, but it was a great fire that destroyed San Francisco. That happened too. Edifices and structures unscathed. Does anybody else have any? Yes, sir.
Did the wind die down or something to save the...
Yes, the wind did turn. The wind turned. It blew out of the southwest, directly west, and then eventually it became...
So that's where the houses on the other side of 139.
Right, it started blowing in on, and that's how they knocked it down, but they contained it. But the wind did change that day, and it died down from 40-mile-per-hour gusts. At one point, it was consistently blowing from 20 to 30 miles per hour, and then it did die down, and I think that had a lot to do with the setting sun. Yes, sir.
You said earlier why motorcycles were so loud. Is that because it's fire engines years ago, they could hear them coming?
I'm not sure. It's just
I know that the fire engine was the only one that could leak and not have them up.
It's, well,
I know on the old...
I'm sorry if I offend somebody, but in my town, the motorcycle is the chariot of the imbecile. And I'll just say yes. Oh, look, St. Anne's. Oh, look. Josephine has brought in this, maybe we pass this around, Josephine. Josephine has brought in a wonderful montage of St. Anne's by the Sea, which is still there. Catholics, welcome. You're welcome back. But if you want to pass that around, take a look at it. It's a wonderful montage, Josephine. I really appreciate that. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.